Robert Ripley, born Santa Rosa, California, 1890, had one dream. One. That was it. His dream was to pitch in Major League Baseball. That's all he breathed. That's all he ate. That's all he lived. And from 1890 to 1913, every thought in his mind was, I am going to be a professional pitcher in Major League Baseball. It stayed with him and it festered in him. And he did what most baseball aspirational people do. He pitched in the minor leagues, which paid him very little money. So in order to make do, Robert Ripley became a cartoonist between pitching performances for the San Francisco Chronicle. He was good. He didn't give a crap. He didn't care about being a cartoonist. It made him some money so he could pitch. He moves to New York in 1912. The New York Globe actually published one of his cartoons. But he didn't care because he had a tryout with the New York Giants. They hired him. He said he was good. He was going to play Major League Baseball. His dream was to come true. He was 23 years of age, and everything he wanted in life, right there in front of him. And oh, in 1913, opening day, he stepped on the mound, breathed the air, looked at the thousands of fans in the stands. They were there to see him. Wound up, threw the first pitch, and he felt the ligament in his elbow snap as soon as he let go of the baseball. Robert Ripley's baseball career consisted of one pitch. Dream died. Apocatastasis. Abracadabra. He had nothing left to do. Couldn't pitch. Tommy John surgery would come around about 50 years later. So, wrong timing. So he went back to the New York Globe to be a cartoonist. And because he had interest in sports, he started writing cartoons for sports, particularly oddities in sports. And he called his column Champs and Chumps. It became a well-read column. From the New York Globe, it went to the New York Post. And William Randolph Hearst got hold of this and said, I love this. Sports oddities. But now he was traveling the world. And it was just oddities, strange events all over the world. He had people out there going to places like Romania to see, is this true? Is it confirmable? And he would put it in his little cartoons. So Champs and Chumps really didn't hold any longer. So Robert Ripley changed the name to Ripley's, believe it or not. Became a television program, a radio show. In 1948, one of the very first television programs. Opened museums in Chicago, in Dallas, New York. Became one of the wealthiest men in America. All because his dream died on a pitcher's mound in 1913. Apocatastasis, folks. Abracadabra. Which brings me to the next speaker. I've known Ruth Bonapace for a long time. Started life as a writer and a journalist. But not just any journalist. She was a sports journalist. In the 1980s, 1990s, a bit unusual for a female sports journalist. And she was one of the first sports journalists to ever step into the men's locker room. Doesn't seem like much of a deal today, does it? Go back about 35 years ago, folks. It was a big deal. And she held it together, and she did. But Ruth was kind of an adventure. It wasn't just enough to be a successful writer, journalist. So she ran a laundromat. That seemed like fun. She became a real estate investor, a very successful one. She became a mortgage broker, a very successful one. I know it firsthand. Every mortgage I've ever had personally came from Ruth. Probably always will. And then she decided to go back to writing, because that was her first and her true love. So as the calendar year turned to 2024, she had a ridiculous idea. A ridiculous, nutty, insane idea about a Jersey girl named Tina who would go out into the world looking for her real parents and jeans that fit. And she did. And then came upon a secret book called the Bulgarian Training Manual, and traveled back and forth to Bulgaria in order to learn its secrets. If there's such thing as reincarnation, Lewis Carroll came back in the form of Ruth Bonapace and rewrote Alice in Wonderland, where the rabbit hole opened up on the Jersey shore. When I started reading her book, #1, and Alex, take note of this, I could see the movie. Oh, I could see the movie. I could see the actors who would play the various parts in this movie. It is such a visual bit of writing, much like F. Scott Fitzgerald. She's got a bit of that in her. But I went down the first page, ridiculous. Went to the second page, ridiculous. Third page, ridiculous. Last page, last word, because I couldn't put the damn book down, said ridiculous. It's brilliant. Elle magazine said the top read of 2024. Publishers Weekly said a whimsical delight. That's really a perfect description of this book. One of the best people that I know, Ruth Bonapace. Get up.
This is a bit new to me, but yes, what Steve was talking about. This is my book, The Bulgarian Training Manual, that came out June of this year. It actually took quite a few years in the works. I had gone back from my master's degree while working and continuing to work as a mortgage broker, and was spending lots and lots of time writing it. And I'm not going to bore you with the journey of finding a publisher and, you know, getting and revising and the whole 9 yards. And so finally in June, now Steve's reaction was, this has to be a movie. Like, I see it as very visual also, but I don't have a screenplay yet. I don't have a budget yet, so I'm not saying, you know, come invest in a movie because it's a little premature. So what I'm looking for are people, collaborators, people who know the movie business, people who could put this project together, who could produce, who could do, you know, the roles that one would play. And I also left, for most of you probably have it in front of you, just a short summary. You had the summary of the plot in the email that Steve sent out, but I realized what you didn't have with the locations, because if you haven't read the book, and even if you did, it summarizes it, that would give a filmmaker an idea of what they would be tackling. So on the good news, there aren't too many elaborate locations. They're mostly 2 gyms, which is not too hard to do. There's a couple of locations in New Jersey, in Jersey City. There's also a list of the characters, the main characters and smaller characters. One character that comes through in a very minor way, but it would be really cool to get even as a cameo, would be Arnold Schwarzenegger, because they talk about him quite a bit in the book. And but basically, Tina the narrator, but the star, I would say, is a Jersey girl. She's in her 30s, and starts out very negative, very like nothing I do is working. Why me? That kind of an attitude. And then through having this manual, which is like, if you think about it, you're anticipating going to Tony Robbins, or you buy a self-help book in the store, and you're holding it and you're feeling like, wow, things are going to get, the secrets are here. They will do a lot of things. Except these secrets do start to unfold. And then it's the first part's in Jersey City and Hoboken. Then in some fantastical scene, almost like Alice, well, it's like Alice, but also I think of the Wizard of Oz. Dorothy is unhappy with her life. She's in Kansas. She has a lot of grievances. Then there's this improbable tornado lifts her, and she walks out the door, and she's in a different place. Well, there is this very improbable scene which takes them all to Moldavia, this little group of friends, and then they meet other people. They have this big adventure, and then when all hell breaks loose, right at the end, they come back to New Jersey, and then tell about their experience and how it's changed. So what I think I'll do, since maybe just read a couple of pages. Not going to be a very big, long reading, to give you a little flavor. And also, by the way, this is the beginning stages of looking to making a film about this, which in a way would be almost like Jersey Shore and Alice in Wonderland, but also kind of an Animal House ensemble, because they're very kind of zany characters. So when it opens, it actually is based on a real Bulgarian manual. There's a famous Bulgarian powerlifting coach who has passed away a few years ago, and everybody wanted to know the secrets, like why do they keep winning? Why do they get gold medals? And then he came to the United States and he traveled around as like a guest coach after winning a lot of Olympic medals. And so people started literally passing around these bootleg books about bootleg. What I mean by that is they'd be like Xerox pages that they'd pass around gyms. Pretty soon people started publishing their own version, but it's never like an official. The coach didn't write the book, but it was like speculating on what the secrets are. So there's a lot of like factual information here, but just taken to a different level. And in this book, it was based on a true experience where somebody actually gave me a Xerox copy of hundreds of pages of this workout manual, which is meant for powerlifters, but was being distributed in gyms. And I looked at it and I thought, what? I could never do this. This is like crazy stuff. But I always thought it was just so interesting that I put it on a back shelf. And the way I'm telling this story is that basically in life, I feel that everything counts. Everything counts. Every little experience you have, whether it was sports writing, whether it was finding this crazy manual, somebody getting it to me in the gym, like so many things are just taken from real life and then told on the slant, as as they say. And yeah, good experiences, bad experiences, when you're down and out, when you come back out of it, you look back, and as I end my book, one of the last lines I quote from Bruce Springsteen's Rosalita. There's that line where it goes, someday we'll look back on all this and it will seem funny. And I always thought that was such a great line because I believe it so much. And this book is like, look back and it's all funny and it's all a matter of how you tell it and what you think. So here's just a couple little, very opening. Big Steve, over there at the squat rack, quiet, keeps to himself, but let me tell you, that guy, he used to be one motherfucking dude. Totally shit-faced all the time. Tree hugger, hypochondriac, gourmand, organically grown hallucinogens. Yeah, he was something else. He was also my boyfriend, sort of. We'd hook up, we'd smoke weed, hang out, chill. You get the picture. But then he got into bodybuilding, and it was all about tuna fish, protein shakes, rice cakes, stuff to make muscles grow. Booze? Forget it. Steve says drinking makes your muscles shrink. atrophy is the way he puts it. He also says muscles have memory. At my gym, other guys say they don't believe that, but Steve knows his stuff, let me tell you. He gets all these muscle magazines and keeps on with the scientific research, and his connections, talks to people you wouldn't believe. So if Steve says muscles have memory, they got memory. Well, I mean, it's not like they remember names or faces or where they were. No, they remember how much weight they lifted. So that's why he insists on finishing every workout by lifting the heaviest weight, even for just 1 rep, so his muscles remember for the next time. And well, you know, maybe I shouldn't tell you this, but just this morning while I'm on the pec deck, Steve comes over and sticks this big stack of papers in my gym bag. Hundreds of photocopied pages in a ginormous binder clip. He tells me it's, get this, the Bulgarian training manual. The what? I say, like, what am I supposed to say? The Bulgarian training manual, he says, real quiet, looking around. He tells me, it started with the powerlifters. Nobody else knew about this for years, nobody. It was all kept secret by the communists. But it's out there. It's very, very big. It proves absolutely incontrovertibly that everything you hear in the bodybuilding world today is bullshit, a fraud. And all that stuff about not training one muscle group 2 days in a row, bullshit. It's all bullshit. But Steve, I say, you're always telling me, read the manual, he says. Just read the manual and promise me one thing. Don't tell anybody. Not even? No. What I said still goes. Under normal circumstances, you'll understand when you read the manual, but you gotta promise me. Read the whole thing and don't show it to anybody. This is just me and you. Steve looks around again to make sure nobody's overhearing. He sees Julio spotting Eddie at the incline press. Eddie's got so much weight racked up, it looks like he's gonna bust the capillaries in his face. Steve moves him close and tells me he's been following the program for 5 months, and he's made huge gains without supplements of any kind. Well, except the organic ones, like creatine, vitamin, coenzyme B6, and horny goat meat. And that he's training 3 times a day, 6 days a week, which is contrary to everything I've heard, and I tell him so. And where does he get the time, even taking into consideration he works at the gym? Mr. Big Deal Personal Trainer, yeah, right. One obsession rolls into the other, and me? I remain, yours truly, the sidekick, the confidant. I roll my eyes. All right, I'm gonna pop in nearer to the end. So a lot of it's in the gym, and then they go to Bulgaria, and in Bulgaria, they have the first ever poetry slam / bodybuilding contest. Because they've all become so smart. And this is how that comes about. And in Bulgaria, there is a rival gym. So, like Steve said, this is a very visual book. There's the good guys in their gym, and then there's the bad guys. And actually, in places like Bulgaria, there's a lot of criminal enterprises, and in this case, it's taken over one of the gyms. And this is short. This dude with thick gold chains and a crucifix enters the gym while Steve and Mohawk are spotting each other on the squat rack. This is in Bulgaria. He's got a lavender calico bandana around his head, and his pecs are busting out of a wife beater. The guy's quads are so big that seams of his track pants are pulling apart. His left ear is a skull and diamond chips, and tattooed on his right arm is a full-color image of the Higgs boson, the raison d'etre of matter-obtaining mass. It is also the mark of the gangsta-builder powerlifter gym, where massiveness rules. Yo, trailer trash, she shouts, looking straight at me. Get down, shut down, sit down, face off, jerk off, get off. Go back to where you once belonged, ho. Listen, rat bastard, I yell back, my voice echoing in the almost empty gym. Trailer, you got no geography. Jersey City is the place I be. And don't go appropriating my cultural territory. 2 gyms diverged in a nearby hood, he says in a menacing tone. I see where this is going, and I ratchet it up a notch. And sorry we cannot pump iron in both. Be as being one, long have I waited, to look down at you, dirtwad, insatiated. Not surprised, he takes the bait, and he says, and both this morning equally lay, in muscle no fist had trodden back. Oh, I keep this fist for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I interrupt. I doubt you motherfucker shall ever come back, and I will tell you this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages from now, 2 gyms will collide in this hood, and I will take the juice less utilized, and that rat bastard makes all the difference. Easy does it, the dude says, backing away. Middleship, Whitman, Everyman, Platt, Fading Frost, you, He-Man, She-Man, Bukowski, Maya Angelou. What are you getting at, sister, he growls. A poetry slam? Am I? Inspiration smacks me in the head. Poetry body slam, I say defiantly. Week from Saturday, bring a photo ID group prepared to pee in a cup. Main event at sunset in the ancient gym. Face down your peers at the world's first international poetry body slam. We will see where greatness lies. Stephen Mohawk, look at me with an expression that says, that's